Welcome to my channel. This is a place where we discuss the paranormal, the strange, and the unknown. And today we're going to be looking at a Reddit post from the No Sleep subreddit. So if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Also remember to stick around after this video for more creepy pasta stories. But without further ado, let's begin. It was 3 a.m. and I was fast asleep in my bed when I heard a loud crash in the middle of the night. My wife and I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and the only other person who lives with us is our cat, Mittens. She sleeps in the bedroom with us every night and typically doesn't make any noise unless she wants some food or attention. So I just assumed that she must have knocked something off of the dresser while playing. I went back to sleep without thinking much of it until about an hour later when I started hearing what sounded like breathing coming from the wall behind my bed. It wasn't a steady breathing pattern like a human's would be, more consistent and regular. It sounded more like the inhalation of air from a balloon being slowly deflated. My wife also didn't seem to hear anything, but I could clearly hear it now. I got out of bed and walked over to the wall where the sound seemed to be coming from. It was a brand new apartment that we had moved into just 3 months prior. All of the walls were freshly painted, and there were no pictures hanging or furniture placed against that wall. It was completely bare except for the wallpaper, which I found odd because whoever had designed the apartment had wallpapered every other wall in the entire unit. But for some reason, they had left that particular wall blank. Since the breathing sound was still coming from the wall, I tried placing my ear right up against it to listen more closely. That's when I started to panic, because I could hear it louder than ever before. It sounded exactly like heavy, shallow breathing mixed with a faint scratching sound, as if someone was desperately clawing their way out of the wall. I tried to rationalize what I was hearing by telling myself that it was probably just mice nesting inside of the walls, or maybe some kind of ventilation system.
Ow.
But those thoughts didn't ease my growing terror. It was then that I noticed the wallpaper had started to change colors, and it was becoming increasingly difficult for me to breathe. I backed away from the wall and decided to tell my wife what I had heard. When I told her about the breathing coming from the wall, she looked at me as if I had lost my mind and said, "That's ridiculous. There's nothing wrong with the walls. You must have been dreaming." While I appreciated her trying to comfort me, I knew what I had heard, and I could still see the slight discoloration on the wallpaper, where my ear had been pressed against it moments before. After a while, my wife eventually agreed to let me sleep in her side of the bed that night, so I would be alone in the bedroom. As the hours passed, the breathing sound began to fade away, and the discoloration on the wallpaper returned to its original state. In the morning after, of course, not sleeping at all, I told my wife that I wanted to call the landlord and have him come take a look at the wall because I was certain that something was living inside of it. She again told me that I was crazy and that there was no need to bother the landlord for something that wasn't there. She said that I should just forget about it and get back to work. But whenever I tried to focus on anything else, the image of the breathing wallpaper kept flashing through my mind. Now, normally I'm a pretty calm and logical person. I don't get flustered easily, and I try my best to think things through before letting my emotions get the better of me. But this situation was driving me insane. I couldn't stop thinking about the sound that I had heard. Was it really just mice? What if it was something more sinister? The thought of a creature clawing its way out of the wall kept me awake during the day as I worked. And at night when I tried to sleep, the fear of whatever was behind the breathing wallpaper kept me lying in bed with my eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. My wife would often ask me why I hadn't gone to sleep yet, and I would mumble something about not being tired. I couldn't bring myself to tell her about the breathing wallpaper again, because I knew that she would just laugh at me and tell me that I was being ridiculous. A few weeks passed like this, and I was beginning to lose hope that I would ever get a good night's sleep again. Then one day I decided to do something about it. I went to the local hardware store and bought a hammer and a screwdriver. I told my wife that I was going to fix a few things around the apartment, and that I would be making some noise, so she shouldn't be home late. She said okay, and left for work. When she was gone, I went straight to the bedroom and took a deep breath before bringing the hammer down on the wall. At first, the sound of the banging echoed throughout the empty apartment, mocking my futile attempts to break through, but then I started hearing a scratching sound coming from behind the wallpaper, like the sound I had heard the night before. It was faint at first, but it quickly grew louder. And then, suddenly, right before my eyes, the wallpaper started to tear itself apart. I stood there watching in amazement as the wallpaper peeled away from the wall, revealing a dark, slimy substance underneath. I continued smashing the hammer into the wall until the whole thing collapsed, leaving a gaping hole in its wake. I looked through the hole and saw a long, narrow tunnel that seemed to stretch as far as I could see. The sight of it made me feel sick to my stomach, and I quickly backed away from the wall. I filled in the hole with some wood paneling that I had found in the basement and tried to convince myself that it was all just a big mistake. I told myself that I had probably imagined the breathing sound and that the wallpaper had just happened to tear away like that. But deep down, I knew that what I had seen was real. The following days, the breathing sound never came back. And even though I covered the wall with furniture, I could still feel its presence lurking behind me. Every time I turned around, I could have sworn that I saw the wallpaper breathing. And whenever I closed my eyes, I could hear the scratching of claws on wood paneling. My wife and I ended up selling the apartment and moving somewhere else. And I haven't thought about that breathing wall in years. But every once in a while, I'll be lying in bed at night when I swear I can hear the sound of claws scraping against wood. Every time I hear it, I cuh, and help but wonder if that breathing wall is still out there waiting for its next victim. So, do you believe OP? Did he actually discover something sinister behind the wallpaper? Or was it all just a figment of his imagination? Let me know your thoughts. Down below in the comments section, Horror I Can Hear the Wallpaper Breathing was written by a user on the No Sleep subreddit. If you enjoy this story and would like to hear another one, then check out part 2 of Creepypasta Stories, where we cover more scary stories from the No Sleep subreddit. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and remember to subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Take care and stay safe.